All right. Hello, my name is Tucker. I'm on Team Bloodrush Fellows here in Colorado, and I'm here today to play some Florian. This will be a stream to show off my Tree Hugger Florian build that I played through the most recent ProQuest season, ProQuest London. Some quick accolades for this list. I prize split at Heart of Gold with Mercy Bickle, who you might have seen recently get second place at the World Championships. And then across 3 other ProQuests, I got top 8, and ninth place. One of the top 8s was extra painful because I went 5-0 in Swiss undefeated to become first seed. And of the 2 Enigmas in the room, one of them was unfortunately the 8th seed and just rolled me as soon as I got in the top 8. But overall, I like this build a lot. I had a lot of fun playing Florian. So I'm here today to play a couple games just to dive in and see how it pilots and some of the logic behind how to play the deck. Admittedly, I have not played the deck much in a few weeks because I've been more on the Jarl hype train. But I played this deck religiously for a month straight, and I feel like there's a lot to show here, so hopefully we'll do some great learning together. I don't want to play the mirror per se, so I'm just going to keep looking for other matchups. New, I think, is a great chance to show off the deck. I'm going to choose first because there's not a whole lot of tempo. It sways a lot in this matchup. It's a long slog of a match. The first question you want to ask yourself every matchup is, do I use Face Purgatory or do I use Plume? Plume is your default first choice. Face Purgatory is better in some matchups. There's really an argument to new. Personally, I like Face Purgatory better in this matchup, and we're just going to keep the full default fridge. We run the default sideboard, except we want to take out Blue Autumn's Touch, if I can find it. This is the one big blue card that they can play against us, and I don't like that, so instead I'm going to play either Tilling or Bramble Spark. Probably do like a 2-in-1 just for the fun of it. I'm so sorry. We have Weakest Link in this build, so I'll go ahead and utilize the Weakest Link since it is somewhat relevant in this matchup. You're just talking about small percentages there, so it's not like a huge decision. You just need to take out the Blue Autumns for something else. Thankfully, the build is on 25 blues. When we go down 3, you're still at 22. The average being 21 to 24, so you're still in that sweet spot of enough of a cost curve that you're not hurt by just taking out 3. This is turn 0, and turn 0 Germinate is normally fantastic, but not this one per se. I'm just going to play out the Arcane Seed's Life, get both effects, start at 41 with 2 chance, pitch, grasp, the 2 block that I don't want, and a blue, go to 3. There's an argument to just do this before I had the 2 floating. It really doesn't matter here because I'm going to just Arsenal Sink below and pass. Hey, thanks so much, Yucatan Suck a Man. Oh yeah, that's correct. I did win Battle Harden Dallas October of last year on Tuklovasen. But that was limited and lucky. We're here today to play some Florian. So we got that initial setup, 3 chance and a life with an Arsenal Sink below into new. I'm feeling pretty good. This hand, I'm still just trying to get some earth into my graveyard so I can get Decomposes online. It kind of sucks to draw the Felling this early when I would need more things. So I'm thinking about maybe blocking with Carapace and Enlightened Strike here to just send Felling and pass. Yes, Felling would be a 4, so it's not ideal, but it's still pretty impactful. Really, we're just going to try and strike a balance here between keeping offense and pitch stacking. So I'm probably actually just going to E-Strike, play the Felling. So I'm going to block with these 2 cards, meaning that Spider's Bite is not going to matter. Or block with this, and then Arsenal the Rootbound after playing the E-Strike. Yeah, see, this is totally fine. They're probably going to try and buff this, but it won't really matter because they're not going to pop the Sink below an Arsenal anyway. So I'll just go ahead and give them the Flourish. Let them go ahead and play their spicy attack reaction. They don't have an attack reaction. We get punished here, quote unquote, but it wouldn't have changed much. It would have been 5 into 4 instead of 7, so we lose 2 points of value for the extra block. It's not a big deal. Oh, they did play the Hiss. Okay. They were just hesitant on it. So now we know that they are buffing over. They're going to deal damage, but we don't have an Arsenal. We don't really care that they hit much on the top. In fact, it's very likely that they can hit an Earth card off the top and help us get online faster, so that's pretty cool. With the Sink Below effect, I will go ahead and sink Felling, since that's what I was planning to do with E-Strike anyway, save the Felling for when we're more online. I could play the Carapace here, I just feel like it's a waste. I don't really care about the 1 damage leaking through, and they banish a Swarm. Not that big of a deal. That card isn't going to do much for them or for me. They pop a silver to draw a card. Typically a sign that they are trying to pitch stack. So maybe they have this pass over that they're trying to pitch stack with the Sacred Art. That's something that Wesley Cole, who's in the chat, my teammate, has done to me, and it is just absolutely brutal if you let them get back to that pitch stack unabated. They come in for 1 with the new effect to banish on hit a Blood Rot, so we do need to block this with something. I could just throw Grasp in front of it. That feels a little greedy. So I think I can give them... See the channel. The channel will get banished, and we'll go to 1 and banish. You have to be really careful. This build is centered around Channel the Millennium Tree, so you want to try and preserve at least 1 to 2 copies. So getting 1 immediately just out of rotation isn't the best for us, but we can manage. Currently looking at 1 Decompose that would just get us to 3 online. I think I'd rather pitch stack the Carapace and keep pressure up. That's true. The Battle Hard winner did not wear glasses. That's a great point, Christian. This is my Clark Kent form. New says, sure, I'll just take the Rune Chance. Coming in for a nice cool 10 damage total. Who's really tanking on the 7, trying to decide what to do with her hand. So ultimately, I'm just trying to get more Earth cards in my graveyard, try and preserve power into the 2nd cycle, leak damage with Channel the Millennium Tree for several turns, and save my equipment for some crucial blocks in the mid to late game. For now, it's more about getting set up and getting online and getting prepared than it is to really drive home every possible good point of value in the hand. We are on 3 sync and 6 Carapace, so we have a total of 9 defense reactions. That should help a lot with the combat tricks that New's going to throw our way. And the fact that we're not trying to send, a 5-card hand or anything fancy most of the time. We could Plow Under, which will swing for 2. Could Summer's Fall. Maybe they try and hit us with like a Blood Rot, and we can Summer's Fall it away with a cheeky response. I don't think we particularly care about the Mistblade at this point. Persuasive for 2, go again, and they have the 1 floating for a reaction to buff it to 5, maybe 6. Okay, so let's just give them the Carapace then, and we can get to 3 and banish. That way, whenever we do decompose for a Plow or a Felling, we'll have those ready for the next cycle, and we won't trigger Persuasive in any way. So we'll block 3 on the 2, and if they buff over it, then that's fine. They don't. It's a bluff. Now this hand doesn't really do much, because we only have the 1 Earth card, so neither of these 2 attacks can decompose. I'm tempted to sift both of them, but I could keep the Summer's Fall just as an option to grasp Reaping if I draw something bad. Maybe this would be a 3-cost attack like an Autumn's Touch or something. So the question really here is just how much do I want to sift? I think Plow Under, saving for the next cycle, is great. Summer's Fall isn't really going to do much. It's more just a mainboard blue that you have with the extra Decompose count. So it sucks that we're not really utilizing much of our Decompose here, but it's okay. A Flourish and a Canopy Shelter. Alright, we'll just go for the backup play. This is a big proponent of this deck, is sometimes you just get hands that don't do a whole lot, and that is the price that you pay to be a more defensive defensive-leaning mid-range deck that is weak in the early game and strong in the late game. So as the game progresses, you will become more and more capable of doing some degenerate plays, but it comes at the price of early game. You might just be sending a lot of 1 and 3, 2 and 3, stuff like that. And it just keeps the opponent either leaking a little bit of damage to be greedy, which is a classic, Guardian exchange that you love to see, or you can just, oh man, this is an unfortunate all red hand. So we have a few options here. We would love to play the Flourish into Felling. Felling will give itself +4 because we now have 3 online. So you could come in for 10 with the Felling effect. Unfortunately, we can't do that. So it looks like E-Strike choosing +2 would still get buffed by Flourish. So we could come in as an E-Strike for 9. It's okay. The Mistblade comes in and we say, send me the bill. Still just the 1 Earth card as well. So we need to block with this Autumn's Touch no matter what. Alright, they got a full Scary Bonds of Agony and we have no reaction. So this is a pretty tight spot to be in. We know things are going to get banished, so I'm considering blocking with the Felling too just to get it into banish and rely on the other 2 in grave or in deck. It's a pretty tight spot to be in. We know we're blocking with this. Typically the magic number is 8. With the dagger, the magic number is typically 9. So I could give 3 cards and just swing the sword. I think I kind of like doing that. And preserving Felling, hopefully for the second cycle. But Bond's effect does have text, so that they'll just get all the copies of it. What card would we be okay with them getting every copy of? I think the answer is Autumn's Touch. So if I block 9 and they still get over it somehow, they can just get every Autumn's Touch and give me a lot of Earth online. I think that's the play. I have had games where New just gets all my Fellings and it sucks. You can still absolutely win that way. It's not ideal. This is definitely a wonky matchup. As you can see, it's very much a tightrope and a skill-expressive matchup, which is why it kind of sucks to be the first matchup I play while rusty. So I'm certainly making some mistakes here. My goal is not to show you all that I am the greatest Florian player ever, but more to just help you get started playing the deck and run and have fun with it. But again, they did get 10 on 9, so I really didn't think they would push over. They did. That's awesome. They banish a Canopy Shelter. And then Bonds will trigger with Autumn's Touch. So now, suddenly, our hero's online. That's crazy. We gave up 1 Millennium Tree, and I've utilized 1 Seeds. And we are online on turn 4. That's crazy. 31 to 36. So we are in a good spot now. We're still sitting on a Flourish. We currently have 2 trees, 2 Fellings, and 2 Arcane Seeds all left in the deck. Those are our big power plays from here. We do not have Flourish anymore. We are just going to go down to 30 and give them the card. That's pretty devastating, but it is what it is. I'm pretty excited to be online this early. And they do not have any more reaction equipment since they're using the Widow Claw Tarsus. So the mask is still very scary. They haven't really transcended yet much. I think that's going to be a thing coming up. But we are out of the scary equipment. Arcane Seeds is great to see immediately. I would love to typically arsenal this and set it up with a Felling for like a big boom play. But against New, with the constant disruption, you never know what you're going to get. So it's better to just kind of use stuff as you go. Could 2-play Oath with an Arcane Seeds. That could be a strong play. So really, I'm looking to... I would love to set up more. I could try and pitch deck this Seeds. I think I'm just going to try and play it out depending on what their threat is. I do not have any good blue plume targets yet, and we only have the 2 Earth for a Decompose coming up. Let's see what they give us. We only have 1 attack action card in the hand anyway for the Spider's Bite. There's Prognosis. So we have seen 2 Prognoses and a Bonds. We're halfway through the scary blue attacks after this. 2 attacks in hand with the famous 1 up. So I'm going to assume this is a 4, maybe a 5. Well-Grounded is here if it's scary enough that we need it, but really I could just Bark Skin this with an Oath. That would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 block total. That feels a little greedy to do from here. But it would let us do an Arcane Seeds Grasp play into Arsenaling So tomorrow. So is not great because we're not trying to recur anything yet, but it is just our single copy right now. What blue threats do we have for them in the Banish as well? Just Flourish. Flourish will be good for them. Give them the thinking. Oath would give them +1, and then they could play my attack for buffed. I think we're just going to get 5. And if they get higher than 5, then Persuasive Prognosis would trigger. We could respond with life, and then they can banish Summer's Fall. I think that's okay. We'll take that risk if they can get over 5. We do always have Well-Grounded if it's really scary. They're really thinking about if it's worth somehow going above and beyond. Oh, they had the Justinic. That's brutal. Are they going to transcend? So from here, we could either just throw out life and not really care that they snipe Summers and pass. I think Well-Grounded gives us enough value here that it's worth getting over. But I'm really scared that they just have another reaction to really, really punish this. If so, we're going to be on the back foot, but we're going to take that risk. That's kind of this matchup, especially when you are not up to practice on it. I'm pretty guilty of this right now, as I've said. You kind of just have to take gambles sometime and hope to get there. But then as you play the matchup more religiously, you will get more and more refined. So I would recommend just lots of practice into the new matchup if you would want to play Florian, because it is really a tightrope and a skill-expressive matchup that I'm kind of doing an injustice here. So we're just going to Grasp. Grasp Sword alone is a good 1-card 5. We're going to throw Arcane Seeds in there again, because normally I would love to Arsenal this. I would love to set this up for big combo play. But it's new, you can never rest on your laurels, so we're going to go ahead and get both effects here. Go to 6 and send a total of 9. And have gained a life. It's a nice 2-card 10 on turn 5. They block 3, take 3 chance. I don't like having given up the Well-Grounded this early, but I feel like the value benefit here was worth it. It just leaves us more vulnerable. So I might be more inclined to give my armor block again, but really we are still really early into the game. It is turn 5. We're looking for Felling of the Crowns. We're looking for Chant of the Millennium Trees. We're trying to get to our power cards before they start transcending and masking and getting more things from my banish. Currently they can play Flourish, which would buff their reaction, Oath to make 1 rune chance, and those are the only 2 valid blues for them. But, I mean, you can blink, come back to that Passover and Sacred Art play, and then they'll just have, I guess, just Flourish currently. But this is why you take out the blue Autumn's Touch, and why it is crucial to your play. We really don't care about Erase Face that much. That's their answer. That's wild. They must be really trying to set something up in Arsenal. That is not what I expected at all. So we're going to want to Arsenal one of these Rootbound Carapace, of course, to be prepared for that. We don't have the blue for just the Grasp Sword play, so now we have to get creative. E-Strike saves the day, so we'll probably just try and block this with a Carapace. Send E-Strike for 7 and Arsenal the other Carapace. I don't see anything else here that's really as good of a play. We currently have 4 Earth cards to decompose. Could take a little extra damage to get this instead, but that is not worth it. Yeah, cool. We're going to play the yellow Carapace and sit on the red. And then if he plays CNC, that is the one punish to this play by 1 point of value, so it's not a big deal. We're just going to banish 2, try and keep as many Earth as possible so that we can decompose in the future since the hero is already online, and we're not at risk of them using any sort of like new ability to deny us cards that are in banish currently, to then go back offline. Just send a nice 7. Arsenal a D-react, and we're chilling. They're really thinking, even though it's just 7 raw damage, but it's a quarter of their health. So it's not something to sniff at. Looking like a block 3. Nope. Alright, they block 3 with Eradicate. You know they have a Siren's Call in hand. But thankfully, we don't have a blue. Oh, that's so sad. That's so bad feeling. Gloomveil is good now that we're an online hero, so we could plow under for Grasp, Swarming, but then we can't really follow up with anything. Could like pitch into the sword. It's pretty awkward, unfortunately. It sucks to draw all these together. Could pitch Plow Under into play Plow Under into Arsenal Felling. That means we'd have to block with the Carapace this turn. It also means that we couldn't really play the Swarming here, so I'm looking to maybe block with it, which feels bad with the Spider's Bite. It's kind of an awkward hand, unfortunately. We'll just take the 1 and accept that it's kind of hitting for 2. It feels a lot better to kind of hit for 2 now. Oh, and they play Codex. Man, we're fine. We're chilling here. They send CNC, unfortunately, to punish the Carapace, as I said earlier. We can't really Barkskin here for any value. I'd have to block with 3 of these cards, but they are going to have an arsenal to plow under. It's not really disruption enough to warrant getting rid of this. I feel like I could just block with these 3 cards and accept the loss of value here and just pass back holding a Felling. It's either that or we... Yeah, because if we're holding the Felling, we're not even putting it in Arsenal anymore. This is pretty unfortunate. It's not the worst to block a Felling here, because then you'll have it online with Plume, but the thing with Plume is getting an extra charge. This would only give us the 2nd charge, whereas keeping this would give us a 2nd or 3rd. I honestly feel like the play is to just give them 3 cards, say, you got me, fair enough. Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, New versus Jarl is also a really fun matchup, man. New forces you to play Flesh and Blood so differently, and it is always fun and intensive in its own way. New is definitely my favorite of the assassins that they've designed, although I'm happy that Arachne's finally getting his comings, because he is a fun deck to play too. But he is not as good as New. New is so much better than Arachne or Uzuri. Though according to Michael Hamilton, she is just a bad hero with bad math. 2 for 1 go again. He says it's terrible. Until Count Your Blessings but... So they send Spider Bite. Our hand, we want to just grasp into felling or just felling. We are big chilling, got a ton of blues now, sitting on the Carapace that we could preserve. Canopy Shelter will buff the felling even more, so we'll go ahead and block here. Not so much to prevent the Spider's Bite, but in case they dominate or anything, we'll see. They send another dagger. I want to preserve Warmongers in case I need to block with Barkskin. So I will eat this dagger and accept that maybe I should have blocked this one instead of the Spider's Bite. It does seem like their hand is very blue flooded. I don't want to give them the Summer's Fault either. I'll just block it with Grasp, and then I'll force the reaction out if they have it, to then use my Carapace. I feel like this is a good use of equipment here. Oh, but they get +5. Unlucky. So now currently they will banish the top, then banish from Graveyard. Probably denying an Earth, and they have all 3 colors. To then gain a life. I think that's okay. I think I'm okay with this. We lost the Grasp, but it is what it is. It's not a big deal. They chose Plow Under for some reason instead of Arcane Seeds. That's strange. It seems like a misplay to me. Might have clicked wrong. But either way, we know that they probably don't have a follow-up unless it's like CNC from Arsenal. But we can cover that up with just Warmongers and Barkskin. While they're thinking, let's review their threats. They're through 2 of the 3 D-reacts. Okay, so he finishes Swarming. That makes sense. Gets the life gain, except he can't because of Reaping Blade. And it is CNC, so he forces the hand even more. So here's where we're really punished for giving Grasp, but it's okay. We can block 1,000,000 with 1 card and be just fine. Now we have 2 Mites. Now we're going to play the Felling. This forces them to bottom a card in their hand and comes in for 10 damage on a 2-card play. This is disgustingly good value. We'll get rid of the Carapace, the Shelter, and a non-Earth card. Looking at our own threats, do they get rid of all 3 Plow Unders? No. They just took back their banish earlier. Cool. So they're going to take 3 damage and go to a 1-card hand. And we still are just sitting on a defense react. They've been through 1, 2 CNCs, 2 just the Nyx, 3 of the 6 blue stealth attacks, 2 red hiss. And it's 20 to 20. The 1-card codex is pretty decent, but when we're sitting on Carapace, that feels pretty damn good. So this hand we could Germinate, Swarming, Reaping Blade. That's a really strong 2-card play that comes in for 2, 4, and 3. We could do that same move, except instead of ending on Reaping Blade, go for the Plume. But we would need a blue for the Plume plus a blue for the Felling. That's not worth it. We're not trying to Arcane Seeds. They're not low enough life that that'll be worth it yet. Could go for the CNC. That's a bit greedy here. It's a full grip. They are going to have an Arsenal from the Ponder. And we could go Swarming, or we could go Grasp, Swarming, have the 1 float, pitch CNC into Germinate for X equals 1. This would make 4 Rune Chants and heal 2 potentially. I think we're just going to give this Carapace. Because the Swarp will come in for 2, so we really want to end on either CNC or Germinate here. Probably CNC because of the Ponder token. We do, of course, Decompose to block 4. Getting rid of a Plow Under and a Flourish. When decomposing, you want to make sure to keep a Felling, keep a Plow Under, keep an Arcane Seeds. You want to keep any good targets for Plume in your graveyard. This is a very important part of this deck, is you never know when the Plume turn will present itself. Usually it's the mid to late game, but you need to always be thinking of Plume, always making sure you keep a Felling online, you keep an Arcane Seeds online. I've had an opponent trying to hurl me to death, hurling his dagger as new when I was at 1 life, and I responded with Plume to grab an Arcane Seeds and played life to go up to 2 and then back down to 1, and it 1v the game. So always keep in mind Plume and the big important cards in your graveyard, at least 1 copy. So for the turn, we're going to Grasp, make 2 Rune Chants, send Swarming for 2 and 4, and see what they do. And then we will decide the best play based on how they respond to this. They pop... Nope. They did not pop the Arm Piece. That was a miss. Oh, Talishar. 2 and 4 go again. Now we see what they do. They take the 2 Rune Chants. So we cannot gain life from Germinate now. If we played it with the CNC to get X equals 1, we would just make 4 Rune Chants and pass, which is not the worst, but it's not the best either. I think CNC is just a much better play than making 4 Rune Chants. Unless they pull like a D-React from Arsenal here, or something like that. They just take it all. They say, send me the bill, and I say, okay. Take 6. Or something. Gonna lose at least 1 card here, no matter what. They could block with the Helmet and the Tunic, and a card. They could be 2 cards. They can just take it, lose. But no matter what, we are getting a card here, and that feels really good while we're also up life. Overall, I would say we've been very lucky. I don't think he's activated Mask a single time. And this is the most disruptive, strongest piece of equipment that New has. It is absolutely insane. Around here in Colorado, we call it Mask of Pummel. I love this mask, so the fact that he has not been utilizing it or really transcending much has been very unlucky. Typically it builds on less chi than a lot, then they would be on Traverse. That way they run a lower number, they don't get these weird awkward hands, and then when they do need a chi on the off chance, they just immediately pop the Traverse. So if they're on Mask, you can expect them to have a lot more chi and be using it pretty offensively and pretty regularly. So in that sense, we've been very lucky to not have Mask used against us much. Opponent is thinking on the CNC. Seems like it was pretty impactful on their turn. They really wanted this 5-card play. So we draw another Carapace. We check that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 total that we've used of the 9. So this is number 5 out of 9 of D-Reacts in our deck. And we are down to 24 cards, or 28 cards already. They send E-Strike for 7. Unfortunately, our hand doesn't really do much here, so you know what that means. It's a Grasp Reaping Blade play, unless Plume. So now suddenly let's say, okay, well I can Plume. I know I have trees still in deck. I would love to tree with this handful of blues. It's not going to happen. Felling is still here, where I could pay 1 for Plume, pay 1 for Grasp, pay 1 for Felling. And cannot Arsenal if I play Felling. That makes sense. Could play the Flourish into Plume here. So we're effectively trading 2 Arcane for 2 Physical. It's not really worth it there. We are getting fatigued. I'm tempted to really just eat this 7 damage so that I can Arsenal Carapace. They've used all 3 CNC, so they can't punish that. Thinking. E-Strike for 7, when our hand could be a Blind Sift. I think we could just block and send 5 and not be greedy. I think that's more correct here. You really don't want to throw away Plume too fast. If we were more like 10 to 10 life, I think now would be the time, because sometimes you let it go too long, you don't get the chance. But here I think we have enough wiggle room that I can still just send 5 with my sword as a 1-card play and Arsenal the Carapace, and that's just better value. There will come a turn later where I can Plume. A lot of the times you end up closing game out with a Plume to get a Channel of the Millennium Tree, so if we can preserve this life lead, then that gives us a space to just block with a tree and immediately grab it with Plume and play it out. So we have options here that we're just trying to keep on line. We still have a bit of fridge as well. Arsenaling a D-React, so we're more of just turtling up to draw into a better play than what would have been to eat 7, grasp, Plume, felling, and Arsenal a Carapace. Although you can't Arsenal Carapace. So I would have had to block with Carapace to make that play. Regardless. They take the 2 rune chance, and they're thinking on the 3 damage, 19 to 13. They're probably feeling the pressure around now and wanting to hold on to a really good 5-card play if they draw into it. But New does have a lot of 3 blocks, so I really wouldn't be surprised here if they just throw out their worst card and they play a 4-card play with Tunic up. Again, I'm just expecting to get Mask, Banish, at some point. They are really thinking on this 3. They're taking it. Down to 10. Full greed. Oh, okay, what a stinker of a hand. We can still grasp into Ring Rager, into Blade. That's a 2-card 8, so that's good. Probably going to try and sink here just to hand fix and see what it can fix. There's not a whole lot to do here. They're probably going to Mask, Force a Banish, and I don't want to just block the 1 and then react and me sink anyway, when the reaction will probably be a +3. It might be a +4. If it was, have we seen +4? We've seen Red Hiss. I have not seen Red Venomous Strike at all. I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't be on it, but you never know with Talishar. We're going to say no blocks. Go ahead and transcend. There it is. Path well traveled to get go again. Surely they're going to they activate New and not the Mask. Okay. All right. Banishing a Canopy Shelter. Cool. So they can play a Warmongers. They can play a Sift. They can make 1 rune chance, and they can buff by 2. They are on Venomous Bite, so we get a little punished here because they can Fang Strike it, or they're just going to hiss anyway. It already has Go Again from Path Well Traveled, so we know that they have a Fang Strike and a Venom Strike in hand, so they only have the 2 tokens in hand. This is 7. We can still block the 8, but it's on hit. Banish the top card. I think that's fine just to give our stuff now. We'll go ahead and sink first, get that extra information. I'm expecting Warmongers, which would shut down the Grasp play. But if it is, then so be it. We're still just going to block some damage and try and set up this kill turn. We still have, yes, we're getting low on cards, but we know we have 2 Channel of the Millennium Trees still in here, and that is so much more than we need to just close out the game in a way that they cannot do anything with. So we're just kind of playing the patient game right now. Just waiting to draw into the cards that we know can kill. Opponent's kind of stalled here, so we're just going to refresh. Nope. And there's the tree that we're talking about. have a million cards to decompose. We do have to decompose because they have the Fang Strike. And they just don't even give us a chance to just say, fuck you, die. So we want to keep good targets for Plume, which to me is Felling, and then Arcane Seeds, and then Plow Under. So I'm going to banish Carapace and Plow Under and the non-Earth card. You don't want to banish like a Warmongers here. That is very greedy. I'm pretty sure that's how this one got in here. That's probably my bad, being unaware. So you just want to give them reds that they can't play. Why is this not blocking? Oh, it is 8. What am I saying? They took back their Fang Strike. That's so sad. Okay, and then they probably play Warmongers here. Could also... yeah, just make a Rune Chant, drop Warmongers. Or could have played Sift. I don't know why you wouldn't just save that for another turn when you have a Chi. That seems a little short-sighted to just play Sift for 0. Unless they want to put their tokens back into the deck and try and draw more impactful cards. I guess that makes sense. Forgot they have the tokens in hand. It's kind of hard to see because of Talishar. But... so they're still holding either a Slither or a Fang Strike and drew 1 card off the Sift. They play out Flourish. So we're currently at +4 if they buff with something else. And they are going to have Fang Strike. I see. So here they play Fang Strike. It goes +1, 3, 5, and it attacks for 6 damage. There is not another reaction that can be done. So it's not going to have the Bonds effect. It's just going to be an attack of 6, which is still good damage here. Unfortunately, we cannot play Channel, so I want to Arsenal Channel here. But I know they're not going to have Warmonger, so I could just go for a 2-card 8 when they're at 10. It's a tough call, but I feel like that's better than just blocking the 6 here, giving them another Sift to Arsenal and give them full momentum. We'll force them to either give us cards or go down to 2 life and die to a single tree. So a reminder that Channel the Millennium Tree, sort of the core card of this deck, is going to amp 3. So if I have a play where I pitch a blue to play this, then pitch a blue to activate Grasp and swing Sword, my first of 2 Rune Chants comes in amped 3 for 1 instance of 4 Arcane. So if they go down to 3 life, they will just die to my Arsenal card and any 2 blues. It doesn't have to be an Earth card because we don't reach the end of my turn. Any 2 blues and tree will kill them from 3 life. I have not played against Widowclaw Tarsus, so I could be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure you cannot use both the Arcane Barrier and the Spell Void one on the same instance of Arcane. I guess we'll find out if I'm wrong about that. But that is typically the mindset here, is it just forces through so much damage. It doesn't always come up. There are matchups where it is relevant, where it isn't relevant, where it depends on the context. At its worst, it is still a block 3, non-attack, so it works with embodiments, Earth card. So it's always fine to just throw it out and block with it whenever matchups aren't going in a way that would facilitate being able to play it out. But when you can play matchups like this where you keep the room to be able to play it, it is just absolutely one of the strongest things that you can do in your deck, and it's how you close out games and how you get people on a timer. Oh my god, they are toast even without the channel, actually, because we can just send Arcane Seeds into Felling. Holy cow. They are at 5, so Tree doesn't just kill. We didn't get the 2 blues that we need for channel. So the question here is how we actually play this out. They're obviously going to react on this in some way. When they buff this, they would snipe the channel, putting it straight into Banish. But if we Arcane Seeds and Felling, they are looking very dead. That will put us at 4. Oh man, we could just eat the full damage. make 4 rune chants, 6 rune chants, and then send bottom of card 8. I think that should be enough to kill them, and if it's not, then we can plume. We still have a 3rd channel in the deck. I think we just say send me to Bill here. Yeah, we're going to get greedy and try and just close out the game right here and right now. Okay, the banish should germinate on top and our channel in Arsenal and just pass. Even if they have a D-React in Arsenal, we're still sitting pretty comfortable right here. You must make the chance first from grass so that it doesn't cost more. Activate Arcane Seed's life. We cannot heal, so we only use the Arcane Seed side. And then we play Felling. This comes in for 6 rune chants because we have played an attack. So when you play an attack action card, you trigger a rune chant, so 6 rune chants come in. After he deals with the Arcane, then we decide to decompose, and they must bottom a card. So currently, they're at 5. We're coming in for 6 Arcane. They're going to have to pitch at least 1 card. This all happens before the Felling effect makes them bottom a card. This is when this attacks, you may, and it is not currently attacking. It has been played and is waiting to resolve on the stack. So they pay 3, have 3 more rune chants coming in, and decide to just eat some damage, going down to 2 life. Now we do indeed decompose. Can get rid of the Felling since we'll have a new one going in there. Carapace, and we don't want to give them the Flourish. Is there a non-blue? We can get them Rune Rager Swarm and CNC. Okay, so we get the Mask block. They are at 3 and have no cards. They might be able to send like a 0 for 4 from Arsenal or something. But we have full momentum here and still have plenty of D-Reacts in deck. And now they are just dead to Millennium Tree. As I said, they're at 3 life. They don't even have Arcane Barrier. But even if they did, they are just dead right here, right now to channel the Millennium Tree. That is GG. Oh, where is it? So, that's not the best way to play the new matchup, but it is a new game. When you have more reps in this matchup, you'll definitely be able to read their calls better. You'll be able to see how they're playing the match better than this. There were definitely some wonky bits about it. The legs went quickly. The arms didn't have the reaction. We were great about that. The mask just never came up. I don't think they used the mask a single time against us, which is honestly crazy. But it's really just this mid-range battle of trying to start slow, set up, and then once you're online, sort of split your threats to where I'm hitting you in the face, but I'm preserving some stuff in deck. Once you get down to 15 to 30 cards in deck, you're going to start seeing these things that you preserved, and you can really start hitting them back. And it's not like you're waiting forever. It's still turn 13. I'd say by turn like 8, we were starting to get there. So like late cycle 1 is when you're really on the front foot. But it can be a much more nuanced matchup than this was. My teammate Wes likes to pitch stack new a lot, so a lot of the times he and I will have to counter pitch stack, keep an eye on each other's pitch very heavily and such. But it really just depends on how the new plays, how the Florian plays. It can go a lot of ways. Ultimately, this list is trying to utilize Channel Millennium Tree a little bit more than it came up in this match. But again, as I said throughout the match, we knew it was in the deck. We knew it was still an online threat. We were saving the plume for a rainy day, and it was getting to a point where we might need to go just 2 random blues that do nothing and a hand that does nothing into a plume Felling. But sometimes you get to the point where you didn't even need it. Same with Barkskin. And it's not a mindset of, well, I should have used it that turn that I considered it, but rather I think that it's correct to have not used it and to still have had more tools in my toolbox that match when the game ended. It's not, I don't think I should have used all my things by the end of the game. But anyway, that is the new matchup. Let's see what we can get next. I'm just going to put it out there and see who we can get in the competitive CC channel. So going a bit through the sideboard real quick. Oh, we have a Maxx. That is interesting. So we definitely need second for the momentum. The Bramble Sparks and the tillings are mostly for going tall, going aggro when we take out D-Reacts. These are for Enigma and Wizard. Summer's Fall is more for illusionist type stuff. Weakest Link sometimes comes up. Into Maxx, we're not running any of that. Most matchups, very, very often, we're just running our default 60. And the only question you ask yourself is this a Face Purgatory matchup, or do I keep Plume? For Maxx, Face Purgatory would not really do a whole lot, so we are just going to keep the full default. There are two mindsets to Maxx. You can either full fatigue them, or you have to kill them before they kill you. I think a bad Maxx player can be fully fatigued. It depends on how much they high roll in that case, but it's very doable if they do not play it smart, that you could just block out and run them out of their mech threat. But a good Maxx player will not let you do that, and you will just freaking die. So we're going to play as if they were a good Maxx player and try and avoid that happening and not look to just block, block, block. This starting hand is pretty lackluster. We can sift it away, but I kind of want to get one of these Earth cards into grave just to start setting up, like playing out an Autumn's Touch. So I think I'm going to sift maybe these two away. That is not what I expected. We could just play the Autumn's Touch pitching them. That's not great. Could E-Strike, arsenaling one of these cards, and accept that Carapace might just block for 2 from Arsenal. I like that. We'll just go for damage and try and get either a chunk of their life or any sort of tempo with blocks in their hand. I'm going to guess we just get a chunk of life here, but I'm sure it depends on what they're holding. They give us a BIOS update. That's crazy. That's a Temper 2 helmet with extra words. Okay. Alright, now we have a block 2, maybe block 3 in Arsenal. So they play Crankshaft Boosting. Three go again, they trigger the Hyperdriver, get 1 floating, still have 3 cards left. Our hand, again, doesn't really do a whole lot. He doesn't have on-hits, though. It's Maxx, so it is what it is. So I think I'm just going to try and fill my Earth with, or my graveyard with some Earth here, and then just send probably a 1 and 3, 1 card play back. So I'm going to block this with the Oath to full block, but knowing that I'm probably going to end up blocking with Flourish and a Carapace here, preserving the other Carapace. Maxx decides to just churn through his deck. Alright, well, this is why you block with the Earth card first and take that damage. I guess I really expected him to attack, but he is just going for a full setup, probably Supercell or something crazy. So, little egg on our face. No Earth. So here's one of the beauties of Flourish, though, is sometimes you just play it out and it just doesn't do anything. And we're cool with it. I'm going to preserve the Carapace still in deck. I guess I could play Warmongers here. I don't know if it's going to do much for me. I don't know if it really hits Maxx. I don't have a ton of experience in the Maxx. I got wrecked by one on Enigma in Minneapolis. Here in Colorado, we have a great player named Tanner who plays it a lot. But I don't have a ton of experience playing into it. I think I'm just going to try playing Warmongers and see what happens. It's that or swing weapon for 3. I don't think I need to push the damage like that. Here, let me drop the music a little bit. I will choose War. And hope that I don't get punished for that. We draw Felling. And we can play the Felling if he attacks at all, which he is. So that's pretty cool. Could also just an Autumn's Touch. But I think Felling for 4 is something that people often sort of turn their nose up at. And it is not the worst by any means, especially in a matchup like this where it's more of a fast matchup than you would otherwise expect. So we definitely need to block with this Carapace here. We're not going to get bitten like last time, so we're just going to block with it immediately. And there's no one hit with this card, so we can still just block for 2, take 1. Plays Crankshaft. Just a boost for 4 go again. He's going for the Moonshot. That's crazy. This is a card you don't see very often in Maxx, but I guess now with the High Octane ban, it makes sense. So he's destroying... So he's paying 2. Okay. It's just 6. It's just 6, that's fine. Alright, so we took a total of 5 damage for that, and now we're just going to play Felling. Go ahead and Decompose. Send Autumn's Touch, Carapace, and Sift. So you always had the option to do 2 and 1 or a 3 and 0 for the Decompose. What I often like to do by default is 2 and 1 on the first Decompose, and then 3 on the next Decomposes to get to 8. That gives you some extra time to get more Earth and Graveyard and get more set up. There are matchups where you should not do that. So for example, Prism can play Herald or Figment of Judgment and flip a banished card face down. So you have to do 3, 3, and 3 to then play around getting that done to you. But in general, I do like to go for a 2, 3, 3. So even though we have an Earth card here, that just means that worst case scenario, if I only get 1 Earth card in my graveyard before I just need to Decompose again, it's not the end of the world, and I'll go to 4 instead of having done 3 and being screwed. And he's starting to block with armor. That makes sense because he wants to put the armor away for the mech as soon as he can. So he's just preserving life however possible. And now we have 2 Earth plus more that we can block with, so we are much more online here, and that's what I'm saying, we can do 3 and 3 for the next Decomposes. Pitches a Mechanoid to play Met-X. We haven't seen the Supercell yet. I don't think I've ever seen Met-X actually have its effect resolve, but I don't know if I plan to respect it much either way. Here I would love to just send CNC or just send Autumn's Touch, probably just CNC so he gives me 1, 2, 3, and then a 3 block. Oh, but CNC for 7 off the Canopy Shelter is a huge deal here, so we're going to go ahead and block 5. Getting 2 more Earth in our grave, making an Embodiment, or a Might. Plays Heist. Does he have items in the Banish Zone? He has a Hyperdriver. That's crazy. That is crazy. I don't think he's going to have an Arsenal either, because he's probably just going to attack again after this. That's a pretty good punish. So this is where we need to make a decision. At some point, he's going to go Mechanoid and just start kicking our teeth in. So taking 5 damage here and then him attacking again is really punishing. I feel like it is a bit risky for him to just play this extra attack out. So I'm going to go ahead and play this a little bit safer here. Give up on the CNC play. Give him some of my equipment. And just go for a Grasp Sword if he does not attack again. Alright, fair enough. There was no follow-up, but you never know with this deck. So we're just going to send 1 and 3. That is 10% of his max health. He doesn't have Arcane Barrier, so he doesn't have any way to deal with that. And we're just chipping away at his life. Something that you kind of have to do before he inevitably gets online and kills you. As you're seeing with the Tree Hugger Florian build, sometimes you just don't draw Millennium Tree at the right times. Sometimes it's just hidden at the bottom of your deck. Sometimes you draw it in hands where you really can't afford to play it out. And that is just the nature of the deck. It's a 3-block non-attack that works with embodiments, so I think it is better than Yellow Autumn's Touch because it is more threatening offensively and is more potent defensively. But there are plenty of games where it just doesn't come out, just as there are plenty of games where it does come out. That is sort of what makes this deck shine. What drew me towards this deck is that even though it is on the simpler side of mid-range decks, it definitely really shines in like piloting, skill expressive little plays that really add up in terms of what you're valuing in your deck, how you're cycling for your threats, and keeping those online, offline, in deck, in grave, and so on. So hopefully we'll draw into a mill tree pretty soon here, but who knows? He's sending 4 go again with a million resources, a million cards. This hand could go pitch into grasp, swarm, reaping. Could just send plow and pass. It looks like he's really trying to protect the arsenal, so I think plow under would be pretty impactful here. And then if we do plow under, we could also play the flourish. So we could come in for plow under for 8, plow under for 6 as a 2-card play. So I think the swarming play is going to be our weakest option here. I'll give him that to preserve life and see what follows to sort of inform the rest of the turn more. Cogworks base legs gives him an action point. Okay, here we go. It is Nitro Mechanoid time already. We lost the chance to get it out of his arsenal. It is too slow. So he has 8 total cards under it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3. Yep, so he has 8 total swings. Coming in for 6 overpower 8 times. Unfortunately here I think we just have to block the most damage possible, which is a 3-block. He does have an action point to swing again, so we'll give him a 2-block. Can't really give the chess piece yet. And I'm going to preserve the grasp for later on hits, since we've seen stuff like Heist that actually would have a relevant on hit. So now he has 6 swings left. That's 36 damage with overpowered that we're looking at. And he has a lot of blocking as well. But if he blocks this with the Mechanoid, then we're happy with it. Is what I thought. Alright, Canopy Shelter is a good way to get around Overpower, as is Rootbound Carapace. If we were online, this hand would be fantastic, but unfortunately we'll just get to 5 online with Carapace here. He is just going to be sending a ton of damage, though, that we can't really do a whole lot about. Would love to Arsenal the Arcane Seeds here. We know he's not going to be running CNC, and that after we see another Carapace, then we could be online and play it out. But we might need to block more. That's really risky and sort of greedy to do for the first of 3 Arcane Seeds that we've seen. So I do think we need to block more. 3, 6, 9, 11 total, so much we can block here. So that's currently sort of what he's presenting. I'll give him the 5. I know I said the goal was to not block him out and to try and get to him before he got the Mechanoid on, but now that he's got the Mechanoid on and it's all gas, no breaks, there's not really much of a benefit here to just eat a ton of damage and send this hand. This hand isn't going to absolutely wreck him or anything. If I played out the Arcane Seeds and Grasp and Sword, we're looking at like 6, 9 damage total, and he could just block physically, take 6, and keep on chugging, whereas he would have done 2/3 of my health for me to make that play. So it's just not worth it, unfortunately. No matter what, we're going to take like 5+ damage here. And I think we just accept that, blocking 3. Oh, sorry about that. He doesn't send the Mechanoid, which is fine. We didn't lose out on blocking because we could just Arsenal this card and pass. We have hit a mill tree. I don't know if we can really use this one, unfortunately, but we've gotten to 1. He hard casts a Hyperdriver and then cranks it to keep the turn. And then takes it back. Pitches a Crankshaft for it instead. Cool. Plays out Pounder. Oh, he's going to actually give me the turn. That's so sad. So this is where we really, really would love to have another blue card so that we could channel and grasp with any attack. But, oh man, that is super, super sad. We should have blocked with the Carapace so that we could Arsenal the channel here. Definitely getting punished for previous plays. Definitely making misplays that could have set us up better. So that is a good point to learn from. From here, we could grasp, swarming into E-Strike. We can try and preserve the channel, but since it's the first one we've seen again, I just don't think that's worth it because often you'll just draw a second one and it feels so bad to have 2 of them at the same time. So, or 2 of them in hand at the same time. I think the play is probably just the E-Strike. Grasp, make 1, swarm for 3. We're 1 and 3 into 7, so that's a total of 11. Keeping our block. He would just chump block this. Thinking. Could go Millennium Tree, make a chant, and just pass, but that's really not going to help much. It's not going to give us like any sort of value here. Could play the Flourish on the E-Strike for 9 and hold channel, but again, that could just be really punished. But then we could just block with it, which I think is fine. The other play is 2 more damage, and I think that is valuable here. I think every point of damage matters, so we're just going to go for the 11. But man, it is about to hurt. We're about to be in for a world of hurt with this Tekla Pounder. It really, really sucks that we could not play this channel. This is the perfect time to set up, send a little Arcane. He eats our entire hand, except we block from Arsenal and keep 1 blue, and we send even more Arcane. This is what we want to see, except for the lack of blue, unfortunately. Oh, but he got greedy and blocked with the Mechanoid on 3. So from here, we just get to punish with E-Strike for 7. He just gave... Oh, he blocked with a Mechanoid in hand. I'm so stupid. That makes more sense. And see, there's the second tree. We could try and sink into another blue here, but I don't think we're going to get to keep 3 cards. I think that is just the nature of the game. Or he's going to play Supercell. What is happening? Mechanologist is wild. Unfortunate back-to-back tree hands. That is really, really rough. Wow. Wow. Our hand doesn't do much, so we immediately look for Plume. Can't play Plume and Tree at the same time, of course. It's too expensive. Cannot... We could go Plume Felling as a 4-card play. Zephyr, we could have gone for the Reaping Blade. That's me just missing a line, to be honest. It would have been one more point of value. You are correct. These are unfortunate tree hands. Man. It's really not worth it, the 4-card felling here, throwing away the Plume. But the question is if we'll get another turn to Plume, and I think the answer might be no. So even though it's such a bad play, it might just be the time to do it because he is Pounder out, fucking Mechanoid at 6 counters. We are back against the wall. We still hold on to this Carapace. It forces a card out of hand. That is unfortunate. If we don't felling here, it would just be play channel, make a chant, pass. I think we have to felling. We get the plume. Grab the felling. There's no other thing that's worth playing, and we just pitch it all. Oh, that is a misplay. Of course I need to do the triple banish. My mind is just elsewhere, thinking on all the different parts of the game. So we go, yes, banish, earth, earth, and then another earth card. My mind immediately goes to, oh no, we banish Arcane Seeds to plume target, but we're just using plume, so that really doesn't matter anymore. Six go again off of Pounder, a million resources off of Hyperdrivers, still has Mechanoid swings. Want that to block the Mechanoid. I think we sort of are just forced to block out a lot here. Would love to plow under to get more in Banish, to get online. Be great to plow under Arsenal Arcane Seeds here, but that would come at the expense of taking a lot of damage. I think we could just block 3 from Arsenal first and see what happens. Get a little greedy here, say that, hey, we might take some damage depending on what you do with this last card in hand. I doubt he's just going to Arsenal it and let me plow under it away, but you never know. We could see what's up. At 25 to 20, we have a little wiggle room to do a little scouting like this. So we will go ahead and banish 3 just to go fully online. That way if we don't play the plow under, then we're still sitting just fine. Can play Arcane Seeds, Grasp with the Rune Rager. He is actually going to go for the Arsenal. That is crazy. I would not have thought. Okay, so of course we want to play Arcane Seeds now. We're online. That much is clear. We don't have Tunic or anything, so you can't go both Rune Rager into Plow Under. So we get Arcane Seeds, pitch the Grasp into Plow Under. I think that's probably going to be our best play. It's definitely a lot more impactful than Rune Rager into Blade, so we'll go with that. Use Grass to make 2 chants. Just Arcane Seeds because we're higher life and have Reaping Blade. Go to 6, and then we will play the Plow Under for 6 Arcane, and then after they deal with the Arcane, then we will Decompose. But it doesn't really matter at this point. So now he only has one more 2-block with the Mechanoid, but I'm curious why he hasn't been swinging it. With High Octane banned now, I don't know what the big play is to send a billion Mechanoid swings, and I figured that he would have just been using the swing to end his turn a lot, but he has not been. This has let him put in a Hyperdriver. He does have more than just reds. He has 1 red, 2 reds, and a yellow and Banish. 3rd red here. So we've seen all 3 reds, 1 yellow, 2 yellow. So you'd have to have the 3rd yellow in hand, which is not unlikely because he only has 20-something cards left. At this point, I do think we can probably fatigue him out, but you don't want to rely on that. Weapon for 5, split, or CNC is just going to be our options here. Kind of want to Arsenal the Sink below and just stay set up. We could... I think we'll just give him the 5 here. And just start trying to kill him with Arcane. He doesn't have Arcane Barrier, so we have him on 11 chance to die. Sending Bertha. Could just full block here and wait for a better hand. Our deck threats currently are... Only use 1 felling. Yeah. Let's maybe block for a lot. Because Millennium Tree is just sitting here wasted. Also coming for 6. I could block with that. Arsenal the Sink. He's not going to play CNCs. Let's get a little creative here. Maybe risk it for the biscuit a little bit. Block 2, make some embodiments. Tell him to either pass back to me or get blocked efficiently. He's going to pass back. No, he does, of course. Crank. Send the Mechanoid. I'll block for 5. And then I'll just Arsenal Sink below and pass back. He has 1 counter left on Pounder. I can't imagine he's going to have 1,000,000 Pounders left. And man, we get the 3rd channel with a 1 blue hand. That is so unlucky. We still have Felling, so we can put either of these back on bottom. But man, that is not what you want to see, and it really sucks. We still have some of them in the deck, though. I thought we had blocked with them, but I am mistaken. Yeah, all 3 are still in the deck, so it's okay if we block with this one for sure. Okay, so he sends the Expedite, gets 1,000,000 resources, but now won't have that again. It's buffed by the Pounder. Pounder goes away. We could sink trying to go for the Millennium Tree here. Millennium Tree will be better than Felling for closing out the game, just because Arcane he cannot prevent. So I kind of want to go with that line here, and I'll cover it up just in case, even though I'm pretty sure we've seen all 6 of the Hyperdrivers that he's running, but we're just going to play it extra safe and cautious. Bottom the Felling, because we don't actually need it, and we got the blue. So now we are online with Channel, finally. It took a lot of work to get there, but it will help us close out the game with at least 8 Arcane that he cannot prevent. That's for 8? How the hell? He's saying gas up. Okay, suddenly we are looking at a lot of damage for this tree. And that is how it goes sometimes. The play could be to then mill tree and block even more. In fact, that probably is the play here, because he's running low on cards. He has 5 swings left. That's a tough call. 8 and 6 is 14, plus he has the 2 cards in hand and 1,000,000 floating, so he can send lethal this turn for sure. I think I just have to respect his turn and say, yeah, it's a pretty good one. This is why I do like Millennium Tree over something like Yellow Autumn's Touch, because when you don't get to play it out and you just have to block, man, it blocks a lot better. Met's Hex. I don't know if we give that the D-React or not. We've only seen 2 of the yellow drivers. No, we've seen all 3. So he doesn't really have anything to threaten this with. Probably just another attack in hand for even more whopping damage. We're going to try and hold the Canopy Shelter for the Reaping play. This is going to block in case I get to Arsenal Channel, even though I think I should probably hold on to this and try and Arsenal the Rootbound. But we've gotten sort of punished in that sort of thinking recently a few times in this game, so we're just going to play the other way and see how it works. Assuming this is another attack. Oh, it's a Cerebellum Processor. That is crazy. Alright. Swings Mechanoid for 1,000,000. We could, of course, send the sword Arsenal Channel here. It's not the best. I think blocking 5 with Channel is just going to be more value, unfortunately. That is sort of the nature of this deck. It's called Tree Hugger Florian, and I absolutely love the Millennium Tree. I've been singing its praises the whole time I play this deck. but it is not your end-all be-all, and it is nowhere close to being that. You really have to be cautious with how you use it. You don't want to get baited into just forcing it out, and sometimes it just doesn't line up, and sometimes it does line up, and it still costs you things. Again, one of the big skill expressive aspects of this deck is the little decisions of what cards you hold on to, what cards you put your weight into, and all that kind of stuff. Sitting a blue Expedite for 4, but he's basically fatigued at this point. I would love to kill him instead and play for that angle. We still might, but he is probably just going to die if I block out, and that unfortunately is how we have to play it through. We're going to give him the swarming first, since this is an awkward swarming hand. We don't really have an E-Strike or anything. I mean, a blue. I didn't expect another Pounder, but a Pounder's not going to do him much good when he has 10 cards left to his name. Since Met-X for 8 go again. We can block 6 here. Try and hold on to the Arcane Seeds. I know Blake is in the chat right now saying that I do not ever kill Maxx and that I need to just block him out. After talking with Tanner in Denver, he told me sort of the opposite and said that if you try and block him out, then a good Maxx is just going to absolutely destroy you and run you over. I'm inclined to believe that, and I don't think it'll be 100% of the time. Also, High Octane being banned could absolutely change that. But in this particular game, given the context of him having 7 cards left, it's absolutely correct that I just need to block out from here. I certainly tried to play towards a game plan that was the other way around, but here we're just going to block out, and in fact, we're going to pop the Wall Grounded here just to preserve some life. There's not a huge reason to do it now over another turn, but we're just going to go ahead and get that done. Give him a full grip, but he has 7 cards left and 2 swings. I'm at 6. I have D-Reacts. We'll see if he can get through. Ball's kind of in his court now, and we're just here ready to block. I agree with what the fuck is he playing. It's Talishar, and he just had High Octane ban, so you never freaking know. Yeah, we'll just give you 9. And pray that he does not play 4 more damage. Oh, that's 3? He's going to get us down to 1 life this turn. He might actually have us dead, depending on what that other card is, and if we can draw into something that gets around the 6 overpower. This is going to be a really, really close one. Oh, it's 5. Yes, you're going to do. Oh my god. Holy crap. Start of this turn. Take it. Play optimally. I think what happened is he accidentally chose to banish the arm piece when he should have chose to banish the other item that's under there, whatever it is. But we'll see in a second here. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So we block 4 on 6, go down to 1. Thankfully, his next attack will be for 5 overpower thanks to this Galvanic. But we need some way to block that, and we drew a Carapace, so we are set. It was all about drawing that Carapace, and now he is just dead. This list is on 9 D-Reacts, and man, does that help. Good game. Okay, well that is Maxx. Lord knows what they're going to end up doing when High Octane is banned. I don't think Cerebellum Processor is pretty standard. Like I said, it's sort of this tightrope where you can't just be patient and let them get the mech online. You need to disrupt as much as possible, and it may or may not line up. In this game, unfortunately, it didn't line up that much, but when it does, you need to sort of force it. That said, you can't just take damage willy-nilly. You can't use life as a resource nearly as easily in this matchup to get that through. I have time for one more game, but it's going to have to be a quick one. So, let's get that rolling. Okay. Against Victor. Fantastic. We're going to choose to go first. We want a little setup. We want to deny them a little setup. They're probably on Tunic. As we said at the start of the stream, we're going to use Face Purgatory in this matchup because it's very good into Rouse the Ancients, and it buffs Zealous Belting, it buffed E-Strike, things like that. And again, our sideboard is mainly for like Enigma and Wizards and Rune Blades. Not really relevant here at all, so we're just going to run the default 60 again. If you are interested in the deck list, it will be linked in the description down below, so check it out. Keep your eyes on the Bloodrush Fellows channel. Over the next week or so, I'm going to make a deck tech video on this list that I played for the ProQuest season. So keep your eyes tuned for that. Going first, we don't get any of our setup turns, unfortunately. So we're just going to filter our hand through Grasp and Arsenal, D-React, and Pass. I want to hold the blocking cards. Plow Under effect isn't so crucial that I need to preserve it in deck for a second cycle, so we're just going to hope to block with it and draw whatever the hell this hand is. As a Guardian player, I can say that looking at his tech plating means that he might be on more of a slow mid-range deck rather than a more progressive and aggressive proactive list. I will go ahead and give this the Sink Below and try and get some sort of filter. We bottom Plow Under to draw Plow Under. Isn't that just flesh and blood right there? So, we're going to, I guess, E-Strike into Sword for a total of 9 damage with the Rune Chant, preserving a D-React that we don't want to use yet, because I don't see a better play to make with this hand, unfortunately. He is presenting 65 cards. It's interesting. So we definitely think that he's going to be on like this slower mid-range game plan initially. And that could be not true. He might just want tech plating because he doesn't have block here or here. But it's sort of what your instincts will initially tell you. This would normally read like a pummel. It still sort of reads like a pummel, but you never really know. It could just be a bad hand. Carapace, unfortunately, is only going to block 3 here, so we kind of need to block 7 if we want to stuff it. And that's going to be really tough to do with this hand. We want to fill the Earth Graveyard, so maybe we block 9, give the D-React and Arsenal Felling here, and get ready to decompose it. I think that's probably going to be our best bet, is to just give 9, and when he doesn't pummel it, then we just pitch to the sword and hold a D-React that can now decompose. That way we were set up for no matter how we played that turn, we got some Earth Engraved, so now we can decompose. We kept the Felling in deck. We will certainly cycle back to it before this game is over. He fails the Trounce, it seems like, because he revealed a Test of Vigor. That is some jank. Test of Vigor. 1 floating, again no Tunics, so no pummel threatened here. We can still just try and get some Earth Engraved. We're currently at 1, 2, 3, and we want to get more like 6 to 7 before we're fully set up to go online. It's not a great like Arsenal target or anything here either, so I'm tempted to just hold on to the Carapace and keep playing around pummel. I think we probably just give 6. Essentially, we're going to send 7 here either way. It's either through Autumn's Touch at 7 or 1, 3, and 3. And I sort of like the disjointed attack better here, so we're going to give 6 like this, and then still play a 2-card 7 either way, getting the same number of Earth Engrave, just playing it out a bit more disjointed Runeblade style. That is the main reason Swarm and Gloomveil and Rune Raider Swarm are in the deck, is they're just a 2-card 7 or better that is simply disjointed, but with Grasp and with Reaping Blade, they fit right in there as a nice 2-card play, 3-card play. They're perfect extenders that block 3. They are basically the only core Runeblade cards that are in your deck, and they're so good for that. But it also means that in those matchups where you do put cards from the sideboard in, those are the first to come out. You never need these extenders as the core of your identity. They just help to push damage and have good numbers. So they are part of your default 60, but when you're sideboarding your Tillings, when you're sideboarding Summer's Fall or Bramble Spark, even the Weakest Link, like anything from your sideboard that goes in, the first cards to come out in place of those are your Swarmings and Swarms. He sends Disable for 9. This time he is threatening Pummel. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 Earth, so we could double Decompose and go to 4 and Banish and 2 Engrave. That's not optimal, but it certainly is an option to then just send back another 7, go to 3 Earth Engrave. It's not fully set up for the Decompose. It's a surprisingly awkward situation to be in. I think best play might just be to not play around Pummel here. The Pummel isn't disrupting an amazing hand, so it's not that huge of a deal. We could block 3, make it 7 if he pummels. Block 4 more, take 2, discard here, and then go for 4. I think that tracks. Yeah. And if that doesn't happen, then we'll Autumn's Touch for 7. He's got blue Pummel. So we could actually cover this up with a double D react. And that is what we're going to do. Alright, so we're now at 4 and Banish. We'll have 2 Carapace in Graveyard, covering up 11 on 11. But assuming that had been a red Pummel, then we would have discarded this Autumn's Touch, gotten another Earth online, and pitched Germinate to go Grass Reaping for a total of 4. So instead we're just going to send 7 here and have the same result but plus 3 damage. Whenever you are staring down the barrel of a Pummel, it's always good to consider what if they do and what if they don't, and try and concoct your plays as if either way you're coming out as good as possible, because man, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's one of my favorite cards. I'm currently working on Jarl that is fully focused on Pummel. Whereas here, he's definitely just trying to set up another card in Arsenal that could be either Pummel or Rouse or some sort of extender damage. So we need to keep pressure back at him. And unfortunately, we didn't draw like a Felling or anything great here. Could just go Swarming. That's a disjointed 7. Sift might try and save me out of this hand. Could block for less damage to fill an Earth, but we currently are at 3, so 1 more Earth will get us to 4. Because of the way Decompose works, we don't really need to do that. So I'm going to just give him the 3. And maybe Sift 1 card. I could Arsenal the Sift. It's not the worst Arsenal. What we want to draw here? That's what would we draw into? What would we want to? What would we not want to draw into here? That's what I'm thinking. There's a lot of like Felling and Arcane Seeds and stuff online that we kind of don't want to see yet. We want to get Decompose more first, so we want to see Decomposers. I think I'd rather just take the known path, go ahead and send our disjointed 7 with Swarm, Arsenal Sift, and then on a later turn, either we will have a hand that is pretty bad and we'll use the Sift and see what happens, or he'll try and do a gotcha with a CNC and we'll go, I never cared about that card in the first place, it's all good. I do like playing out Sift sometimes, but I'm always very cautious with any plays that could make your play worse than better. I always like to be extra cautious and think about what could happen again, if you do, if you don't sort of thing, but be prepared either way. He reveals Thump, so wins the Clash, gets gold, draws a blue Thump, but blue Thump is also pretty jank, so we know that this list is not going to be the absolute cream of the crop in terms of pushing pressure on us. Although, speaking of pushing pressure, he does get Golden Estate and make 4 Might, so that is going to start being a thing. Eventually, he'll hit us with a Go again, and we'll use Face Purgatory. But this is a good example of how Swarms are even better and more of extenders and less of just a 2-card 7, but more extenders, is we can just easily fit them together like Legos, pitch into grass, go 3/3/3, and now we got a 3-card 10 instead of a 2-card 7. It's very, very easy to line them up, and when they don't line up, man, they just block 3, so I love the Swarms. They are just the first thing that goes into the sideboard whenever you try and put other stuff in for specific tech matchups. This Crush the Weak is threatening another Pummel. Not too worried about it, to be honest, because again, the hand doesn't do a whole lot. It's a modular hand, so if we're gonna plan to go like blue swarm sword, and we have to discard now, it's just blue swarm swords. That's what I mean by a modular hand. So you won't really disrupt it as much as he wants. But Crush the Weak is actually pretty relevant here because it's 3 or less base and shuts down the swarms directly. So I think we'll give him 6 and see what happens. And if he pummels, then I'll discard a swarm and just send sword. This is very Guardian-esque, how the hands sort of play as a 1-card play or a 2-card play or a 3-card play, and you get to decide how much you're going to give of that in the give and take of this power struggle. Guardians love to do like a nice 3-card 7 versus a 1-card 4, and Florian plays really similar to that, where he's just a very adaptive, modular deck whenever you have these hands that can fit together in such a way. Cool. And we stripped his hand, even though he has 4 mites. I'm not sure what that's about. I imagine it might be a CNC for 10, or some sort of 2-card play like that. It's actually just a hammer for 8, and he's low rolling. That's crazy. That's actually wild. So seeing this Arcane Seeds in hand, I either want to sift it away or arsenal it for next turn, because I can play this Carapace and go to 7 and banish, but we're not quite getting to that 8 and banish, unfortunately. We're so close that I want to hold onto this Seeds and just keep pressure up. Haven't really seen a good chance to pitch stack much of a kill or anything. 8 is good damage, so I want to at least just preserve life. This hand is not good enough to try and like take damage to send something back. Sift, you could always just play out for no value, so I might just... Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do here. Give it the Carapace. Blake, to answer your question about glasses, Caitlin got them for me for my birthday like 2 weeks ago, so I just started wearing them. They are very mild prescription. I have slight astigmatism in one eye, and then my other eye is like -1 or something. So they're very slight, but it's recent. I'm adjusting. My brain still thinks I'm wearing sunglasses because that's the only type of glasses that I've ever worn for 30 years. But it's been nice. It's helped. We could sift here. It's always an option of, what do you think you're going to draw? I kind of want to arsenal this Arcane Seeds, and I think I'll draw another Decomposer. But I would love to bottom the Seeds, draw into a Decompose, and start playing other Seeds, because this is the first Seeds that I've seen. There's still 2 more in deck that I could draw. It would suck to draw those and have another one in Arsenal, plus we could CNC and such. I'm going to Hopium here and see what we get. And you're just never punished. Sometimes you just go for what is left in your deck. Sometimes you make your educated guess and it won't work out. And sometimes it absolutely does work out. We're going to come in here, get our hero online, disrupt his arsenal, and everything comes together. We are all good. He blocks with the Jank Test of Vigor as a 3 block because he's 7 on 6. Clashing for a Vigor. Gets it, revealing my Canopy Shelter. Reveals Command Respect, which is like a CNC if it's buffed. So that's also pretty weird and janky. And just sends Hammer for 4 and tries to Arsenal. It is really interesting. So a 3-card play here with Felling will put us at 2 chance and bottom of card 8. Canopy Shelter puts us at 2 chance, bottom of card 10. It's really, really good. Shout out to Zeph and James for showing me that play. I was sleeping on it and did not respect it enough, and he really made me convinced of it. So we get our 2 mites. Go to turn, activate Grasp, play Felling, send 2 chance before decomposing, because the attack has not resolved yet. He pitches 1 card, we decompose. And now we're coming in for bottom of card 10. It's just really strong. That is our first Felling of the game, too. We still have 2 in deck. This is something I'm always considering as what is our threat density left in deck? What are our outs? What are we playing towards? What are we trying to set up for the second cycle? What have we not seen yet in the first cycle? How many blues versus reds have I seen? So am I likely to draw into a shitty hand like this? Or am I likely to draw into an all-red hand? Isn't it great how we just had an awesome play, got full momentum, have a life lead, and this is the follow-up hand? That's this deck sometimes. We could send 8 here and Arsenal a D-React. That feels pretty safe. Could play CNC and force some of the armor, but I feel like I would prefer to just push damage and have the D-React. We could pitch into Grasp and send Sword and just do a 3-card 5. I think the answer is to just E-Strike into Sword. I'm not too concerned with the pitch deck on the back here. Deck's starting to get kind of low to where I could see this again, but I'm not too worried about it. Hey, thanks, Andrew. I appreciate it. So we send 5 go again into 8, or into 3. Total of 8. He's just really block happy with this deck, too. Again, I don't think that's correct. Like, man, this is the best card in his deck. Obviously, I can't see his hand, so it could be smart, but he is very block happy and sending Hammer for 4. And as a longtime Guardian player, I can tell you this is not the right context for it at all. Unfortunately, our hands are just not doing a whole lot here. With this, I mean, we could Summer's Fall, but this is not an aura. It is just an item, so you cannot Summer's Fall away a gold, as cool as that would be. I think we're going to sink and just try and see if we can draw into more power. Sinking the Summer's Fall. Well, that is what it is. So we can Grasp, we can activate Oath, and then we can send 4 and 4. So even though it's a 3-card 8, it's a bit under rate. It's split. It is what it is. We're definitely pushing damage through, and he is sort of fatiguing us by pitching into all the arcane, but we're leaking enough damage that we're still chipping him down a good amount, despite him being so blocky. And the kicker here is, again, the Millennium Tree. Eventually, he's going to be at, like, 25, and we draw into 2 Millennium Trees with 1 blue, because that seems to be how it works. I think the play here is just going to be to play a Felling into a setup, except the fact that the Felling won't be as high impact as it could, and that's going to bottom one of the trees, that it's costing us a D-Reaction Arsenal and that little bit of safety. Oh, and we only have the 2, so actually we are not going to decompose this. We're just going to block for 3 and take 2. Play the Felling, decompose it, get the 2 out of grave, or I guess now the 3 out of grave. And bottom one of the trees, we'll Arsenal the other tree, and next turn surely we'll draw into 2 blues, we'll get that online, and we'll start leaking a lot of damage through that he can't do anything about. Or we just continue to draw less blues, but this is okay because of Arcane Seeds, so it's mostly fine here. I would love to block this with the Bark Skin or something, but hand's a little bit wonky. So this might be where we give the boots just for the convenience factor. So tomorrow would pay for channel, we would play Arcane Seeds, and we would pitch a card to Sword. Unfortunately, can't hold him to the Swarming 2, as nice as that would be. It would be an extra 0 for 4 go again, but that is just too much. So I think we block 5 like this, and then just keep our fridge pretty much intact for it. Or, no, because we need to block 1 more, of course. Could give the Well-Grounded and take 2. Doesn't really seem like he has many go again extenders, so I'm wondering if Face Purgatory, if I should just throw it for a 2 block, but it's so impactful when it does come up that I'm going to wait a little bit longer and see what his deck still has in store. So I think Well-Grounded here could be worth it, even though it's really nice to play around Pummel. I'm going to go ahead and give him the Well-Grounded and Grasp. Taking a total of 2, we're still at a comfy 29, and we play out the channel with Grasp. We play the Arcane Seeds, choosing just Arcane Seeds because we are higher life and cannot heal. And then we'll send 1 instance of 4 Arcane, and then 1/1/1, for a total of 7 Arcane and 3 physical. So now we're looking at, regardless of how much damage he takes here, there's 3 that he just cannot prevent. The next turn there will be 3 that he just cannot prevent. And then hopefully one more turn there will be 3 that he just cannot prevent. So this one card, getting this out now, assuming I draw into 2 Earth next turn, will get 9 damage leaked, while threatening even more damage on top of it. When he's at 21, sending 9 is so huge, and then we could potentially play out this other channel. He's just dead here. He is cooked. We play out this other channel. We play Arcane Seeds, again, no life. Or, I'm so sorry, that is incorrect. Because, of course, Grasp has the cost curve. Then we play the Arcane Seeds. Now we send, the first rune chain is amped 6, coming in for 7, and then 5 pings of 1, and then 3. We're at 15 damage presented on this turn, and we're going to keep 1 channel. This is where the deck really, really shines, is when you start just going really tall with Arcane, and they cannot do anything about it. He pitched 6 resources and still took 3 Arcane. And we do still have one more tree in the deck after this to close it out, so felling and all of this sneaky damage aside, he's just cooked from Arcane, it seems like, if we can keep it going long enough. So we need these 2 Earth and pitch. Could go pay for Grasp. I did beat Maxx, yes. Yeah, but it was very close. He got me down to 1 life. So we could pitch to Grasp, and then pitch to CNC. Blocking 3 with either Plow Under or Rootbound. I think I'd rather block with the Rootbound, to be honest. Because we are at plenty to decompose. Alright, so we pitch 1 Earth card to Grasp, we pitch 1 Earth card to CNC, and we send 4, 1, and 6. 4 Arcane, 1 Arcane, and 6 Physical with CNC. And then we'll have another instance of 4 that he can't prevent next turn, and then channel will probably die. It usually gets 2 counters and then dies for a total of 3 triggers, which is 9 unpreventable damage for each channel. It's honestly crazy. Here we can channel into Felling, and man, that is brutal. Unfortunately, we can't quite play use Grasp and Flourish and Felling, but that's okay. We're only missing out on the 2 from Flourish. We could try and pitch 3 for Grasp, but I think that's just really greedy. So I'm going to Arsenal this, sink below here, just take the damage, because man, we have such a life. That's dumb. It's fine. It's okay. I will accept this mistake. Obviously, I'm playing Felling. I'm going to have to bottom a card in my hand, so you cannot Arsenal a sink below. That's very stupid. But we're beating this guy enough to where I don't think it's really going to matter. So now we're sending 4, 1, bottom a card, 8. He eats the Arcane. Oh, he pays 2 and eats 3 Arcane. Bottoms a card and goes down to 2 in hand, and we're sending 8 Physical. Finally starting to get through his armor. The second tree dies. But we still have 1 more that if we can keep for 3 turns, he's just dead. So we're sort of trying to not throw away all the goods. Here I could just play Germinate for X equals 3, make a ton of rune chance, Arsenal, Arcane Seeds. I think I'm just going to go for that. That sounds really, really powerful versus like 6 and 3. They could just give me a few cards. I think we're going to do that. If he had sort of like Estate on the board or anything that's big pressure, I'd be scared. But I'm not too worried about it. We know he has pummels. I think we're just going to try and play this out. Whoops. That was a misclick. We're trying to pass the turn, Arsenal this. So now next turn, we could hit him with the 8 chance, make 4 more, go to 12, CNC, whatever. I guess there's an argument to playing out the seeds instead of arsenaling it, that way it's not threatened. That's probably a misplay. It's up for debate if you're trying to like play swarms, but I think most of the swarms are out of the deck, so that's most likely a misplay rather than just playing it out. But here we see he's going to get desperate. We've seen 1 CNC, so he still probably has 2 more. We know he has Command Respect as well. but he is just digging for the gold, which is perfect for us because that means even if he gets us back on the back foot, he now doesn't have golden estates online. He essentially throws the game by using those gold. But from here, if he hadn't conceded, we are happy that he popped the gold. Golden estate's gone. He doesn't have the big yellow attack to swing us at us either. We have a ton of chance to help close out the game, and we have the Millennium Tree coming up surrounded by blues. So even if we don't leak another point of damage, he was at 9 life, 3 turns of tree, which we have earth, blue, surrounding tree. Then the next hand has earth, earth. The next hand has earth, earth, earth. So we will keep that tree for 3 turns for sure with the amount of pressure that he kept up. He is taking 3 unpreventable damage and is just dead from 9. So that is this deck. That's Tree Hugger Florian. I'll very quickly go through the list, but again, there will be a deck tech video coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. That'll link to this video for the gameplay. This is called Tree Hugger Florian. I played this through ProQuest London season. It is it's seen a little bit of changes over the season, but this is pretty much where it's at now and where I would recommend playing it myself. Default equipment, Plume is amazing. It's an extra copy of Felling or any strong card in your deck. Well-grounded and Barkskin. I mean, all the equipment is just fantastic. You sideboard into Dichotomy for Wizard, Carapace for Wizard, and Aurora. I do actually use Carapace into Aurora along with Melrune Boots to have 1 and 2 and try and prevent some of that damage. That has won me some games. The sideboard is mostly tech for Enigma and Wizard and Runeblade. Those are the very tough matchups for this deck to play against, primarily Enigma. So the sideboard is like entirely for that with some Aurora thrown in there too. The key cards, of course, Arcane Seeds is amazing. Channel the Millennium Tree, I hope you see by now, is a core card of the deck. It is one of the most powerful things you can do with this deck, but it is not your end-all be-all. Sometimes it just doesn't come up. Sometimes you need to block with it. Sometimes you're not using it for the entire game, and then you play it to close the game. It's always you assessing the current situation, reading the context of the match, and then making informed decisions about what threats to keep and what threats to throw away. Likewise, CNC and Felling are all in that camp. Plow Under can be really impactful. Canopy Shelter is amazing. Shout out to Zephyr again for getting me on that train. Flourish can be very impactful. As we saw, might be a little bad into new. I do love So Tomorrow. I used to be on 3, now I'm down to 1. It has saved me a lot of games, but it's also been useless in a lot of games and helps to get certain things in Banish, especially an early one of these, to then get 1 in Banish, and then the Felling or something as the first decompose you do to get to 4 is really cheeky and feels good. I think Oath of the Arknight used to be a card that it was not that big of a deal, whereas now with Jarl coming into the meta, is a much more impactful card. So when your Grasp of the Arknight gets sniped and you are just, where can I make a chant? I need anything that makes a rune chant. This card can be very clutch. So I think it is more impactful in a Jarl meta than it was in the ProQuest London meta. Warmongers is mostly just to stop Viserai. You don't really need it into Azalea. It helps, but it's there as Viserai tech. Be very careful playing it out against Vincent. They will often just choose Peace and make 18 million rune chants and point and laugh at you. The sideboard can change a little. Over the season, I was on Sigil of Earth a little bit. I was on more So Tomorrow's. This round was tech into Aurora, but never really came up. Condemned to Slaughter, I think, is too cheeky. So the main tech that I used that were not in this active list, but that I did use in the ProQuest season, were Erase Face and Poison the Well. Erase Face, of course, very, very impactful into Dash.io. She just had High Octane ban, so we'll see if this card is still necessary when the deck already blocks so well. But pre-nerf, I think this card was absolutely good at shutting her down. Now I just have Weakest Link instead because it hits Brute, it hits Aurora, it hits New and Enigma. Poison the Well is also very strong. Again, CYB just got banned, or Blue CYB just got banned, so it might or might not be necessary, but this definitely won me some games against CYB Verdants at the PQs. Yeah, so that's about it. This is Tree Hugger Florian. I hope you enjoyed the games. I'm going to end the stream there. If you would like to see more about the deck, please keep an eye out for the one-take deck tech coming in the next week or so. Again, my name is Tucker. I'm Team Bloodrush Fellows. We're located in Colorado, and big shout out to the Iron Lion Collectibles for sponsoring us. We love their armories on Thursdays. It's a great time. Thank you for everyone watching the stream and being here with me. Thank you.